Welcome to the 11th round of the FIDE Candidates 2026. We have Pragnananda who is going to be taking on Matthias Blubaum. You also see in the background BB Sara walking with her mom. A beautiful pathway there. And you're inside the hall. It's calm. There's no wind, no sound, no noise. It's silent. And Matthias Blubaum walking to the board. He's going to take on India's one of the favorites, who people did feel that will Prague become the candidate champion. Many dreams were there on the siblings becoming the candidate champions, and it would be really, really beautiful. But of course, such a tournament, we have seen how difficult it is, how many times you have to play it to win it. It's not going to be easy. There you go, Prague entering the arena. Lot of people today because it's Sunday and there's so much chess interest in Cyprus actually, which is amazing that this tournament has brought forth to all of us the handshake. Matthias has been a strong, very strong player from Germany. He's 28 years old. He's soon going to be 29, in fact, and is considered very difficult to, break him. So his opening preparation is solid. To score a win against him is not easy, even with the black pieces. Prague adjusting the pieces. In fact, Matthias did adjust his pieces twice, which is quite interesting. Don't see that often happening. Adjusting the pieces, also communicating things to them, what it would be. We have to ask Prague once.
Start your games. Please start your games.
And e4 or d4. But before, download the Chessbase mobile app. This is the recap of the day for you guys. And Prague opens with e4. Whoa, let's go. Are we gonna see Caro-Kann? Nope. We're gonna see the very solid e4, e5. Prague develops the knight to f3. And Matthias is gonna play Petrov. Oh, he goes Petrov. Oh my god, it's Petrov, as Sagar would say earlier. Knight takes e5, taken. Wait, are we gonna see by any chance d6 and knight f7 sacrifice? Because that would be awesome. But no, of course not. It's candidates, Amrita. He goes back knight d3 and Matthias takes knight takes e4. Now Prague has deviated from all the main lines over here and now he goes knight c3. Developing the knights is always a good idea, but you have the pawn on d2 and you really want to push that forward. He goes knight f4 so that d4 can be played. Matthias in the meantime takes the control of the center with d5. Though both the knights are looking at the square, Prague simply brings another pawn to d4. Looks interesting. Bishop goes to e7 and black is ready for short castle. Prague develops the queen on f3, attacks the d5 pawn over here. Asks Matthias how are you going to support it, but a simple move c6 there, defending the d5 pawn. Bishop goes to d3. A wonderful diagonal for the bishop, of course. Short castle. Black is not at all worried because everything is safe on the king's side. Prague goes h3 and first stops bishop g4 ideas in the future. Knight a6 played. Wow, Prague does have a good move over here. Really think of it, because you have last move developed your bishop and then you again have to move it. Oh, he finds it. Bishop takes a6 is a good move. You had to assess whether to give this bishop or not, and that's a great assessment by Prague. B takes a6, spoiling the pawn structure over here. The pawn islands are now 3 for black. Knight goes to d3, the square which was vacated. It's looking at the beautiful e5 square, the centrally located. a5, because Matthias wants to develop the bishop via a6 over here. Short castle, because Prague's position does look quite comfortable. with nice knights, with nice squares. Queen is developed. Okay, bishop is gonna be developing very soon. He pins the knight and stops knight e5. The next move. Always keep asking, what's my opponent's threat? Rook e1 played, bringing the rook on the open file. It always makes the rooks lighter. Rook e8. But now you can go knight e5. No, Pragg goes bishop g5 and completes his development by connecting the rooks. The same done by Matthias. He develops his queen. He keeps an eye on b2 and as well as on d4. Pragg goes knight e5. Doesn't care because if you take queen takes d4, there is knight c6. So he's not worried about it. Rook goes to c8. Defends the c6 pawn here. And you know, if h6, there were all sorts of ideas. Rook e3. Wow, Pragg is preparing for some sacrifices over here. Queen takes d4 played by Matthias, but that's not a good move. Pragg, will he find a move? Queen f5. It's pretty tactical with a lot of ideas. We will come back to it in detail. But no, Pragg goes rook e1. Still a nice move with a lot of pinning ideas, lot of crazy ideas in fact over here. Because you have to be careful for things like boom bam, queen f6 sacrifices and rook g3 ideas. h6 played by Matthias. He's careful about it, so he doesn't allow such things. Knight goes to d7. All the pressure over here on the rook and the knight and the bishop. Oops, Matthias has taken the knight. Rook takes e7. Massive exchanges are happening. But Pragg's rook has reached the 7th rank and you're very, very happy about it. Queen f7 is the threat. You can't take the bishop here. He goes knight e5. The queen is attacked. The bishop is attacked. It's a double attack. How do you defend? Double defense. By going queen e3 here. You can't take. This is attack. Queen goes to b4 now. And will Pragg save his bishop or will Pragg capture the knight? He takes the knight. And he says you will have to spoil your pawn structure again by taking the bishop, which Matthias does look okay about. b2 under pressure, you don't want to capture the g5, so he plays b3 first and knows that the knight needs to be protected. Rook goes back to f8, defending the f7 pawn. Rook c7, he wants to attack c6 here. Black needs to defend. The queen goes back to b6. Pragg drinks water. Knight a4. Wow, the knight is going somewhere. Where does it want to go? Because it's not good at the edge of the board. Even Pragg knows that. Just a bit careful because queen f1. So that's why Pragg is going to move the king to h2 so that there's no check and queen f2 anymore. The queen goes to b4. 15 minutes for Matthias, 27 minutes for Pragg. c3. The queen is kicked away. 12 moves to be made. Queen a3 and you have to be careful because you know the knight's enemy is the rook pawn always. Rook takes a7 played. Bishop b5 played by Matthias attacking the knight. Knight goes to b6 here. And Matthias takes the a2 pawn. Now b3 is also attacked but Pragg's knight is becoming very strong. Queen goes back to e3. Attacking the g5 pawn, but Matthias captures the b3. Now Pragg is getting advantage here. He goes knight d7. The rook is attacked. Rook goes to c8, and now the knight from c3, in fact, is almost reaching e5. How incredible the journey has been. f7 is attacked. Rook goes to e8. He pins it, but that's a big mistake. Pragg has to find a classy move, which is rook f7. Will he find it? If he does that, then he is winning. Lot of tactical ideas. 5 minutes on the clock. 7 moves to be made for Pragg. It's not an easy idea. Oh, he misses it. Oh my god. Queen f3 he plays with the idea of check and checkmate. But d4. What a classy backward defense by the queen. Knight takes f7 over here. But what's happening? Oof. He goes rook f8 and knight h6 check. 36th move played. G takes h6. Is there a mate anywhere? Is Pragg winning here? But no, the engine says no. Queen e4, threatening a checkmate in one move. Bishop goes to d3, stopping the checkmate through skewer. Queen e5, again reviving the checkmate in one move. Obviously, Matthias has a lot of time to not blunder. Rook f7, rook a8, check. If king h7, that would be lost with a check incoming and lot of things. So he goes back rook f8, Pragg goes rook a7, and 40th move is completed for him with 1 minute 36 seconds on the clock. But how does it matter? Because right now for both Pragg and Matthias, they know that these are the only possible moves to survive, and you have to be okay with a draw. Pragg goes rook a7 and looks at the arbiter. And Matthias already pauses the clock, says that it's going to be a draw, and Pragg is like, okay, it's a draw. Handshake there with a smile. I'm not even sure if the players realize that there were some missed opportunities, big ones. Are they going to analyze? Not yet. Maybe there's going to be a press conference later, but it was first of all at this moment a very critical situation which Pragg missed was rook takes f7, because you cannot take the knight here. Queen would have gone to a7 with the threat of check mate. So bishop d3 covering the h7 square, check, and then rook c7 with the threat of mate. This was completely winning. And if d4, let's look at how Pragg is going to react. Like right now, this is exactly what he will be looking at. What did he miss? Oh, look at him. He sees it and he's shocked to know that such a big opportunity was missed. And looking at continuing the analysis of our position, we were looking at the move rook takes f7, which was missed by Pragg. Um, because this was winning, because if rook takes e5, then there was queen a7. If bishop d3 covering that 7 square, there was this check, and this is how Pragg was winning. So for rook f7, if let's say black would have tried d4, d4 defense, then queen takes g5, and once again you are threatening a mate. So this one was not working. Black would have had to give the queen. Queen takes f7, knight takes f7, king takes f7, and then c takes d4. And well, this is winning for white. So this was quite good. For rook f7, if at all black had something else like d4 instead of queen g5, maybe rook g7. Oof, that would be completely disastrous, because king h8, and then you give this check, and then you give the check, and then again black would have had to give the queen. So Pragg was winning over here with rook f7. This was a big miss, but there was one more moment in the game where Pragg, after queen takes d4, which was a very good understanding and very good sacrifice, he had the move queen f5 instead of rook a1, which was played in the game, which was the most natural continuation. He played queen. If he would have found the move queen f5, though I think it wasn't easy at all, the point of this move was if you go h6, you kind of have an intermezzo attacking the queen. If the queen goes to b4, then boom bam, there's bishop takes h6, sacrifice. You can't take over here because there is check. This square is covered. If king h8, then there is knight f7 mate. So that's why you could not take over here. Queen h4 or something, then bishop g5, and then you have, you're clearly better over here. So this queen f5 move was slightly out of nowhere. When you see that in such a position you can bring the rook on the open file, then why not? And it had a very tricky idea also over here. The idea would be h6 is played, but if let's say black plays something else, for example, if he goes back queen b6, then there would be bishop f6, bishop f6. And can you try to find a move for white? It would be incredible joy if you are able to do it. The move is queen f6, gf6, if at all, then rook g3 check, and if king f8 does knight d7 mate, if king h8 does knight f7 mate. So it was tricky, but what Matthias Bluebaum actually found the right continuation, and he was unbreakable. Pragg missed a winning chance, but hats off to the calculations also, with the tricky calculations also. Thank you for watching, and see you.
All these years, Chessbase was a software that needed to be installed on your computer. But now, Chessbase has come up with a mobile app. It's called the Chessbase mobile app and it is available both on Android and iPhone. With the app, you can now prepare against an opponent. You can get access to more than 11 million games in your database. You can create a new game, analyze it. The premium users get access to the fastest cloud engines, and then you can save your analysis. What's more is that the app is completely free. If you want to stay connected to serious chess preparation on the go, then the Chessbase mobile app is for you.